Hey guys, if you are going to Istanbul for a hair transplant, you might also be wondering what to do in Istanbul before the hair transplant. Before is the operative word there. Do not do any tourism in the city after your transplant. Take it easy after the procedure. Don't be that guy with blood oozing down his head, sun beaming on his freshly transplanted dome the day after a transplant. Let's talk about what to do in Istanbul before you have your procedure done. This is one of the most historically rich, beautiful cities and arguably has some of the best food in the world too. There's a lot to do, so I really advise guys to add a couple days before the procedure where they can enjoy just being in Istanbul. But quickly, an introduction. My name's Adam Hurly. Blueprint by Adam Hurly is where I put all of my decade plus of journalistic expertise in the men's grooming industry into one place for you. That includes hair transplants. I've had one, my partner's had one, my friend Matt has had one. In fact, we went with him this year to Istanbul, documented the whole thing, and this is part of that series where we are following Matt through the procedure, through his regrowth and recovery, and we are going to follow him all the way up to a year and a half afterwards. But we wanted to supplement that with some other interesting, helpful resources. And I am also a travel journalist. I have been for almost a decade. So this sort of puts my grooming expertise and my travel expertise into one place. I've been to Istanbul 4 times. Some of my best friends in the world are from Turkey. They took me there on my first trip. So I feel more or less equipped to give you some tips on what to do there. Also considering 3 of those trips were for my or others' hair transplants. So let's get into it. This entire hair transplant series was made possible by the Hair Alliance. The Hair Alliance helps people like you get matched with the perfect hair transplant clinic based on any number of factors. Contact them with any questions or to get started at thehairalliance.com or use this QR code. Look, I wish I could tell you to go to a Turkish barber while you're there for the whole bells and whistles procedure, the haircut, the hot towel shave, the scalp massage. But the truth is you probably don't need the haircut because you're going to be shaving it off for the hair transplant. So let's focus on another really obvious aspect of Turkish wellness, the hammam. Turkish bath culture runs so deep here. You can find a hammam in even the low-priced hotels. They're everywhere. Now, you might be thinking, are we built on hot springs or anything like that? It's not about any of that. Turkish bath culture is a communal experience. It's been adopted from the Roman bath culture. We're going back centuries here. It becomes this whole ritual. There's the hot steam beforehand. You got a scalp massage. You're getting scrubbed down on a marble slab. You got the soap massage or rinse at the end. They are typically divided by gender, so please note that if you are traveling with somebody of the opposite sex, you might be taken into separate areas. But this is one of those things I really advise you to find something special, book it well in advance, treat yourself to the ultimate experience. This trip we booked at Zeyrek Çinili. It is this 16th century building, recently restored, reopened in 2024. It's part cultural center, part bathhouse. It has the Iznik tile. The Byzantine cistern still remains underneath it. There's even some contemporary art, but I urge you to book something like this in advance. It is such a special experience, but it is very popular. And it is the ultimate way to blend wellness and history into this experience. Considering you're going to be at home recovering from this procedure for the next month, I say treat yourself. Next up, take a cruise on the Bosporus. You might notice that there's a lot of boats that leave Istanbul from the European side over to the Asia side. It's this massive city that covers 2 continents. Now, it is very, very difficult to navigate this as a tourist in the current year. So in terms of getting yourself on the river, I say book a leisurely boat cruise. Make sure you invest in one that's going to treat you like a king, give you the food, take you out for a couple hours, hopefully under the sun. You might even get to a far enough point on the river where you can jump in and swim. In the city itself, there's too many boats, it's too traffic, and it's pretty dirty water. You really want to get out of the city if you're going to do that. Your boat driver will know where that is safe and normal. However, it can be such a perfect sunny day out on the water, just seeing the city from that perspective. There's so many beautiful buildings that line the Bosphorus. I highly recommend also investing in this. I've done it a few times. I've had the hit and I've had the miss. One time we went with a huge group. We booked a yacht. We had the most special day. There were a lot of us in that group, so it was economical for us to book something like that. And then on a recent trip, we tried our hand at something that was more of a bargain and got what we paid for. They really didn't have any bells and whistles. It was a nice day out in the sun, but it was really just a loop-de-loop around the main part of the city, and then we parked again. And so I would say really invest in the bigger experience. Try to find a boat captain that speaks your language or at least communicates cleanly with you in translations over email on what to expect. You will have a really special day if the weather cooperates. On the note that Istanbul resides in two different continents, most of the tourism stuff is in the European side. So a lot of the stuff I'm talking about here takes place on the Europe side. Your hotel, your procedure could also very well be on the Asia side. So should you find yourself primarily staying in Europe and doing the tourism in Europe, and you want to go to the Asia side, if only to say you went to Asia or you went to two different continents, whatnot, I'd say the two neighborhoods to target are relatively close together. They are Moda and Kadıköy. In my experience going to these neighborhoods a few times, it is really accessible as a tourist. There's wonderful traditional food. You won't feel like an outsider. It feels like bustling, walkable neighborhoods, really built for people to just pop in, grab food, go shopping, do those things. It really feels familiar compared to the European side of Istanbul. It's also very easy to get Ubers back and forth, so you don't even have to do this via boat, though there is a boat pickup in Kadıköy. It's just, again, really difficult to navigate. Let's talk about the bazaars, the Spice Bazaar and the Grand Bazaar. These are relatively close together on the Europe side. You can do them back to back, walking from one to the next. The Grand Bazaar has everything that the Spice Bazaar offers, more or less, but the Spice Bazaar itself just feels a lot more focused on the flavors, on the tea, the coffee, the Turkish delights, these spices themselves. That's where I'm stocking up on my spices that I want to take home. My potato spices, my biber, my sumac, that's probably the main one I'm getting, this like tangy, lemony kind of red spice. There's amazing saffron and cumin. Some of this stuff like cumin, you might think, I have that back home, but come on, you're in Turkey. Just get some spices. You will see all these shops, one next to the other. A lot of them look interchangeable to the tourist. They're going to have rows of spices and different kinds of teas, and all the Turkish delights are going to be out. They're very, very friendly about letting you taste test before you buy. They're really good about air sealing any Turkish delights if you want to take them home but need them to last a week or two, and they do. I always stock up on my roses for some tea, all those spices I just mentioned. I bring a few different Turkish delights home. And in my experience, especially at the Spice Bazaar, I feel like everybody in those shops is on your team. They're very much your friend. This is an experience set up at this point in time for you and to make it easy for you. And you're still getting a great deal on all this stuff compared to if you were to import it and buy it back home. It is so fresh. It is so special. Please go to the Spice Bazaar. At the Grand Bazaar too, it's interesting to see it, to walk through. It's this giant space. You can get your textiles, your ceramics, your lamps, your rugs, those sorts of things, your soaps, your oils. They do literally have everything there. But I like to think of it more as just a place to see what's up, see what's for sale, see what some of the local vendors are offering. But I myself, I'm not really in the market to buy some gold or anything like that. So I really like to target the Spice Bazaar myself. So let's say you only have a day or two at most to budget for history, for the mosques, the bazaars, all these things. It's actually quite easy to build an itinerary around what to do. I tend to start at the bazaars. And then if you aren't opposed to walking, it's not too hot, it's only about a 10 to 15 minute walk to the core monuments that comprise the Sultanahmet area. This is where the Blue Mosque, the Hagia Sophia, I think that's how the Turks say it. We always say like Hagia Sophia. The Topkapi Palace, the Basilica Cistern, the Column of Constantinople. All of these things, I'm going to let you research the historical context of these things, but all of those are relatively one after the next. Now, I do think it's important to note that depending on the time of day or the day itself, the mosques might not be accessible to the public. I've had hit or miss with both of them. When I first visited Istanbul, Hagia Sophia was a museum, almost more like a Catholic church. It was dripping in the ornateness that the Catholics really love, but it was a museum, and now it is back to being a mosque. So it's much more demure. So you take your shoes off, you just stay on the main floor. Women have to cover their heads. Men, if you are wearing shorts, they'll just give you a cloth to wrap around your waist just to wear while you're inside. This itinerary will feel full for any day that you're doing it, but it is easy to expand or collapse. Maybe you only want to do one mosque. Maybe you want to skip the cistern. Maybe you don't need to see Topkapi Palace. The other two tourist dense neighborhoods you're going to hear a lot about are Galata and Taksim Square. Taksim Square, I can take it or leave it on most trips. I think it's more fun to visit at night. There's some really amazing Turkish delight cafes and shops that line the periphery of it. And it's really nice to go there just for a dessert. There'll be a lot of local people there too. And the heat of the sun, if it's a hot day, won't be bothering you at that point. To me, it's just a lot of commerce, something you can get in a lot of big cities. So I don't necessarily feel the draw there when I am there. And then Galata, look, the tower itself, you got to take a picture of it. I don't think it's worth it to wait in line to pay the money to get to the top of it. Istanbul is a city of hills and views. You can see so many things from so many different vantages. I don't know why you have to pay money and wait in line to do that. Plus, a lot of the restaurants in that neighborhood are just inherently more expensive because of their location. For me, Galata is more about just walking through, seeing it every time I'm there. I always stop into Galata Towels and get a couple towels for the house, and maybe buy some soaps and lotions, of course, if I haven't bought them at the bazaars themselves. But yeah, it's also take it or leave it for me. I say if you're going to concentrate any tourism, do it in the Sultanahmet stretch of all those historical things I already talked about. The next thing I want to recommend is a personal favorite because I am a men's grooming journalist and I love recommending the brands that are native to the places I visit. This one is Nishane, and I think you need to go to the Nishantasi neighborhood in Istanbul. Another very beautiful, very hilly neighborhood. Lots of cute cafes, shops, hotels. It's very bustling, wonderful restaurants. It's a very affluent local neighborhood. It is also the home of the Nishane fragrance flagship shop. That's a tongue twister. Nishane is Turkey's premier global fragrance house. They are known for working with the absolute best perfumers worldwide. They have strong, far projecting, long lasting fragrances. If that is something you value in a fragrance, you will love these. This is the perfect chance to step through their dozens of fragrances. You can ask the clerks to tell you the stories behind them because they are often tied to Turkish themes and history. And look, I'd be remiss not to tell you my favorites. We did a little video on this as well. First and foremost is the Pineapple Hajavat X. The X line of fragrances from Nishane is basically a little remix, reimagination of their best sellers and best smellers. So this is a remix of their probably most famous fragrance, Hajavat X, pineapple, woods, moss. It is so beautiful. I just wore it yesterday in writing the script for this video. I love it. Next up, my partner's favorite. We just picked this one up too. Papa Lefico. This one feels restless and dynamic. It's constantly moving through its wear. It has zesty citrus, green herbs, some amazing spice notes in there too. In my opinion, it's one of their sexier scents too, if that's something you want to go for in your fragrances. And then there is Ani. This one's more rousing. It is vanilla, spices, rose, lots of Turkish ingredients in there. It's creamy, warm, it's sweet, it's soft, it's sophisticated, but it wears really well on men and women alike. This is one of their absolute bestsellers along with Hajavat. It does have an X version of it as well, but I like the original. To me, Nishane is one of the best souvenirs you can take home with you from Turkey, along with those spices and those oils and those towels. So that just about does it for what to do in Istanbul before your hair transplant. Again, do this before your hair transplant. Don't do this after your hair transplant. You will be sitting in your hotel room for a day or two afterwards. Just plan on that, okay? You can always order delicious Turkish food to your hotel. You can have your friend go pick it up for you. I don't think I have to tell you the best Turkish foods to order You will not go wrong on any of those menus, but please order a lamakum for me. That is my absolute favorite thing to get whenever I'm there, and in any city I'm in if I find a Turkish restaurant. So that does it for this video. If you do have any questions about Istanbul, about how to plan your trip with tourism front-loaded or back-loaded if you must, you can ask them below. Take care, guys. We will see you in the next video. Again, if you are considering a hair transplant, please contact our partner in this series, the Hair Alliance, at thehairalliance.com or using this QR code.